morning and happy Thursday on this Thursday, October 24th. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett, streaming live on News 6 Plus and clickorlando.com. I'm Bridgett Ellison. Good to be with you this morning. And we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about some weather and some things happening in the tropics. We'll also get a check of your traffic and some of the top headlines happening right now across Central Florida. We also have a live guest coming up to tell us about a concert happening next month called The Gift of Gospel. It's a multi-city concert. It's a free event, but it's also for a great cause, which is awareness around organ, eye, and tissue donations. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But first, a check of your pinpoint weather with Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos. And Candace, we've had a really nice stretch of weather going on here lately. You are also talking about some things that we need to be thinking about, a week out from now.
Right. And at the end of the day, it's one of these things that as meteorologists, we always look way ahead into the future. We don't sit there and, start, waving the flags and, tooting the horns and alerting everybody. But it's a different world now, Bridgett, where we have a lot more people. I'm just going to say people who get really excited about, individuals.
Enthusiasts.
Enthusiasts. I like that. Weather enthusiasts who have obviously
not
a lot
certified.
More, that too. Yes, that too. That just have a lot of information now. Models are a lot more readily available. So because of that, we love, they love to just kind of post, photos and just kind of leave it as there. You know what? You add your adjectives where you need to. But basically what I'm going to tell you is right now, let's not stress, let's not spiral, because right now there's a lot of things going on social media that are talking about another area developing in the tropics. Listen, at the end of the day, it is hurricane season. Although it feels like fall, and I know, believe me, I'm the first one who want to just switch off hurricane season and switch on the Christmas lights, but I can't do that just yet. There is something that we're going to be watching. Nothing for this week. Nothing for the holiday, for Halloween. After that, that's when we have that big old question mark. So let's get to it. Let me tell you about what you need to know out the door right now. Right now, we are dealing with very lovely temperatures. We're in the 60s, a few 50s there sprinkled in, and a few 70s as well there in southern Brevard County. Now, clouds and rain forecast. It's going to be just another nice day, Bridgett. We're going to see a mix of sun and clouds. We are watching a cold front that's going to be coming through Central Florida. Very little fanfare, no big rain chances, no big swing in temperatures, but it will kind of reinforce a north breeze. And that breeze is what's going to continue to make things feel very nice, very comfortable for your Thursday. But really, as we head into Friday and Saturday, it will be feeling, again, low humidity, very comfortable, very pleasant. Then we're going to be watching another cold front come through on Sunday, and that's going to keep the greatest hits going into Halloween. So now as we take you here hour by hour for your Thursday, we're going to be in those mid 80s, okay? Rain chances will be low and only about 20%. So again, we are still talking about a really nice stretch of weather, even heading into Halloween. So here's a quick little Halloween preview, right? Temperatures by next Thursday will be in those 80s, near normal, few clouds. But overall, we're looking at a pretty mild trick-or-treating forecast. It's not going to be needing to add layers to your already planned Halloween costume, but it won't be chocolate melting hot either. So it's going to be kind of a happy medium of the two. Can you tell that my brain is on hurricanes already? Because we're doing a lot of graphics here, trying to show you what's going on. So basically, the National Hurricane Center, as of talking to you, has not highlighted an area in the tropics. The yellow, orange, red areas that we highlight. Now, the Climate Prediction Center, Bridgett, looks further out, past 7 days. So you can see the dates there, October 30th through November 5th. Now, with that, there have been some little signals that have been picked up on several model runs that show something developing. What is it going to look like? That's still yet to be decided. But the Climate Prediction Center is giving it about a 40 to less than 60% chance of development between this time. Again, end of October, the first week of November. GFS, that one has been the one that's been very persistent. And persistency and consistency tends to lead to more confidence, okay? So with that being said, this is one of the many models that we are going to be watching, but notice what's going on in the Caribbean. Now, with that being said, in November, we tend to see areas in the Caribbean tend to light up a little more than other times of the year. It's just climatology-wise, right? So this is how far I'm going to take this forecast model, because anything after this is just kind of a guess at this point. And the reason I say that is, for instance, just this GFS model yesterday took it out into the middle of the Atlantic, maybe hovered along the east coast of Florida. Today, it takes it towards the Gulf, towards the west coast of Florida. Some models take it and don't develop it at all. So that is why I don't want to continue this forecast anymore, because the zero Z run, the 6Z run, all these model runs continue to come in, but we don't have any consistency. And until we don't have consistency, I'm not going to be yelling at the top of the mountaintops that this needs to be a big concern. So from now until Halloween, we are good to go. Temperatures are going to be in those low 80s. Temperatures are going to be feeling nice. We're going to be staying nice and dry. After October 31st, that's when we will have to start gearing up for what this could be. Again, this hasn't even developed yet, Bridget. And I know that we were talking about just kind of the anxiety. It's just like, that we've got the elections, we've got hurricane season, we've got the build up to the holidays, we've got financial stresses, we've got family stresses, we have all these things. I'm not trying to add to the stress, but it is kind of that little nudge, like, hey, I know you don't want to talk about it, but it is hurricane season after all. So again, this was something that we're going to watch. And the problem is like what we talked about, the enthusiasts, is that it continues to go further out and further out. And we have to get ahead of that too, as a responsible resource for weather. We've got to talk about what everyone else is talking about. So
like you said, we can go ahead and get through this next week, and we should have a better idea by then. Meanwhile, if you are out shopping, maybe you have to go get some candy. Maybe you got to go by and get that big jumbo bag of candy for your front door. But hey, maybe if there was something you couldn't get between Helene and Milton, go ahead and pick that up.
Right.
And you'll have
it. So, I mean, it's one of those things that's like, I'd love to just sit here and focus only on the fall-like weather, which we certainly are going to focus on that for a little bit. But there is that little tiny cloud there in the background that still needs to be focused on, and just keeping a close eye on it. So don't let your guard down just yet. Don't turn off your hurricane brain just yet. We still have
early vote, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay. All right. We're hanging up now.
I'm just saying, Candace.
You're right. I'm an early voter anyway, because I can't handle the stress of
That's
getting
what
there.
Everyone seems to be doing. So
But you know what? I'm not a procrastinator.
Thank you for the heads up, though. I understand it's not a big red flag, but it's something you're watching.
Exactly.
All right.
We'll keep you posted. That's what I can tell you. Exactly.
Yes, all right. Thanks, Candace.
All right. Bye.
Bye. So we do want to get a check of the traffic, and Trooper Steve is off, and my co-anchor and insider guide, Crystal Moyer, is here. We are 3 days in a row matching, not planned. So are we twins separated at birth? Like, what happened?
Oh, we are, Bridget. I'm telling you, it's like we're sisters. We're on the same color wheel. So it's like once we start off on one color, like we
Candace
both wear green, we know we're going to wear. He does. Candace is just not on the same wavelength as us, and that's okay. She's doing weather things. She's over there cackling. All right, let's go ahead and get to our traffic this morning. We do have a little bit to talk about, especially over near Champions Gate. You guys know what the deal is over in Champions Gate. There is a crash, and this is in Osceola County near Celebration along I-4 westbound near US 192. No lane blocks in that area, but I will say if you are heading eastbound along I-4, you're going to see some traffic. Stop and go all the way from Polk up towards Orange County. So heading over towards I-4 and US 27, heading eastbound, you're going to start to see those heavy delays leading into Champions Gate. You're moving at 20 miles per hour for a few miles. If you're trying to get onto I-4 from US 27 heading northbound, you're going to be stuck in that bumper to bumper traffic as well. Here are your drive times. Traveling I-4 eastbound between Champions Gate and State Road 408, 40 minutes. Yeah, you're in the red right now. If you are traveling along I-4 eastbound between John Young and 408, just a 4-minute ride. And then we want to take a look over at some of our other areas. I-4 and 535, this is near Lake Buena Vista. I'm just going to give a moment for that DOT camera to update for us there. But we are seeing traffic east and westbound along I-4. Those typical morning delays. So if you're heading towards the parks, Disney, just a few extra minutes. I-4 in downtown Orlando, you are looking pretty good. Your drive times In the red heading westbound, we talked about this, State Road 417 from Sanford down to State Road 50, 28 minutes. If you're heading eastbound between Osceola Parkway and State Road 50, about 23 minutes. We do expect things to build up as we start to see that traffic from Champions Gate head north. And then if you're traveling near I-75, this is north and southbound heading towards Ocala, a green light ride for you folks with a 40-minute ride along the turnpike between I-4 and I-75. If you're continuing along I-75 between the turnpike and State Road 40 at the Ocala exit, allow 19 minutes. And we don't have a DOT camera for you there. So that's all that I have for you, Bridgett. I swear I'll start doing traffic. I have 4 DOT cameras and it'll go down to 1 or 2 or 3. You just never know these days.
And you still have some live updates left to do on the air as well.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Crystal. All righty. So we're going to get over to some of the news that we're compiling for you, still updating for you, ongoing stories. The Supervisors of Elections spoke with our News 6's Lewis Bolden about some of the things going into this year's election. You know, today is the last day to request a mail-in ballot, and Lewis talked to 5 supervisors from around our area, talking to them about some of the concerns headed into Election Day. Here's Lewis.
This was a candid conversation that we're going to show you a portion of. We sat down with the Supervisors of Elections for 5 Central Florida counties. Alan Hayes from Lake County has held his post for 8 years. In Osceola County, Mary Jane Arrington has been there 16 years. In Seminole, Chris Anderson has been on the job 5 years. Lisa Lewis has been in the Volusia office for 18 years, 8 as the supervisor. And finally, in Orange County, Glenn Gilzine was appointed by the governor and has been on the job for 7 months. They all shared their hopes and concerns about the upcoming election. So Georgia just required poll workers to tally the number of ballots by hand. Supervisor Arrington, how would you feel if Florida required election ballots to be counted by hand?
Well, I don't know when we would have a total. Maybe July?
Yeah. And would they be accurate?
Would it be accurate? And because you know, there's more than one race on the ballot.
I'll be so bold as to say that if they make hand counting mandatory, I will leave.
Oh.
I'm not going to be affiliated with anything that prone to mistake.
What is your biggest concern going into the November election?
Oh, losing polling locations.
Yes.
That's every supervisor's, because no one builds a polling location for us. We have great partnerships, and shout out to all of our partners in all of our counties who partner with us, who allow us to be a polling location. In Seminole County's case, it's 82. In Orange and Volusia, it's in all the other counties, it's a much larger amount of polling locations that you need in early voting sites.
We have sections of our county that are polling place deserts. That, all of us have lots of new development, and the rooftops come way before buildings come that we can hold a polling, used as a polling place. And so like the eastern portion of Osceola County is just growing leaps and bounds, but it's a desert as far as polling location. There aren't churches, there aren't community buildings, there aren't county buildings, and it is so stressful.
So I'll jump in and say long lines, and that's why I want everyone who's watching this to take advantage of our early voting sites and also our vote by mail. In Orange County, we expanded early voting and added 2 additional sites to combat the voting deserts in the community. And then also just making sure that everyone knows, hey, it's so much easier if you can just vote by mail.
Supervisor Hayes, biggest concern?
I think I just echo the sentiments here. The biggest concern for this particular election, though, is I want everybody to come out in a calm manner and come out in huge numbers. But yes, let's take advantage of voting by mail and early voting. To Glenn's point, we don't want long lines on election day.
What is the #1 message you want voters to hear?
All of us give you 3 easy, convenient ways to vote. We want you to vote the most convenient way for you. And life happens, so make a plan. It is your vote and your voice, and you need to use it.
Supervisor Lewis?
I would say just participating in the election one way or the other, you know, no matter how you choose to vote, because as Supervisor Arrington said, it is your voice, but it's also your right.
And to see the full conversation, you can go to clickorlando.com/results2024. Getting results, I'm Lewis Bolden, News 6.
So like Lewis mentioned, you can head over to clickorlando.com and watch the full conversation. Really appreciate them taking the time out to talk about some of those things heading into the election. And this is, several parts we've broken it into here to just show on the air and online. But again, those voter guides for each county, explanation of all the measures and amendments right there on clickorlando.com. And again, the last day today to request that mail-in ballot. Now to a good news update out of Winter Garden. We've been following some of the problems with the Garden Theater. They'd been short on money and funds, and they were looking at the possibility of permanently closing, and so many shows were coming up, and lots of people were disappointed, especially those who were looking forward to performing in those shows. But now, as Angie Quezada explains, the community rallied around the theater. They've helped them put out a production of The Little Mermaid that starts this weekend, and we talked to one young lady who's playing Ursula.
The Little Mermaid production almost didn't happen this month after the nonprofit that ran the Garden Theater shut down without warning, citing financial challenges.
The only warning that we got was a couple hours earlier when we got an announcement from our stage manager saying that rehearsal was canceled.
The community, though, was quick to step in, helping to raise more than $11,000 in an online fundraiser to save the show.
Getting to see this pinnacle of theater that I've had in my community and my life just get shut down with no moment's notice, it was devastating. It's really the only way I can compare it to is if someone died. That's how it felt.
Alyssa Maslorso met with our News 6's Treasure Roberts this week. She's set to play Ursula in the upcoming production.
I have such a passion for the arts. They have played such a pivotal role in my life. And to see that the community shares that same passion and shares that same love and stress on the arts, it really does mean a lot.
So that's great. We'll be following up with them. The group is still raising money to cover costs. So if you would like to support, there is a link to donate right now on this story at clickorlando.com. We're taking a quick break. We'll be back with live interview about an event coming up next month called The Gift of Gospel. Hey there, welcome back. We are excited to have some guests with us this morning to talk about a free concert coming up here in Orlando that will also be in several other major cities all at the same time. This is on Sunday, November 10th. It is called The Gift of Gospel. And with us this morning, Kia Blair and Anne-Marie Wong Allen to talk about this great event raising awareness around organ, eye, and tissue donation. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm excited to hear more about this. Is this going to be Orlando, and what other cities are involved in the Gift of Gospel event?
Yes, so its home base is Orlando. We are going to check in with Baltimore, Birmingham, Charleston, Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, Detroit as well. We're partnering with, our legacy is partnering with the Links Incorporated, as well as the Association for Multicultural Affairs and Transplantation, as well as with MOTEP, which is the Minority Organ and Tissue Transplantation Education Program. We're celebrating National Donor Sabbath Day, and that always falls on the second Sunday in November, which is a day to honor all of our donor heroes, their families, as well as recipients, and raise awareness and provide education surrounding organ donation, the process, dispel myths and misconceptions and all of those things. But our highlight of our night is talking about the wonderful gifts that our donor heroes provide their families, and of course those recipients. So a lot of fun, something like you would see on New Year's Eve, where you have the main show in New York City at Times Square, and then you say, okay, let's check in with Dallas to see how they're celebrating New Year's. Let's check in with LA to see their performance there. We're doing the same thing, but based out of Orlando. It's gonna be fun.
It does sound fun, and I love gospel music, and I wanted to know more about the performers. Will this be different choirs or different artists from all across those areas?
Absolutely. So from Orlando, we have Charlotte Simmons, who is an Orlando native singer, songwriter, national or nonprofit organizer. She is a 2-time kidney recipient. And so it was her idea years ago. How can we celebrate donors on National Donor Sabbath Day? How can we honor those heroes and sing their praises? And so she came up with the concept for Gift of Gospel many, many, many years ago. And this year we're kind of doing a big relaunch and teaming up with other organizations across the country. Sassandra Lewis, you may have remember her from The Voice, season 6. She is also performing. She's kind of our headliner for the event. She is also a host at Afro TV studios. And so that's where the big show will be. And so she's joining us, as well as Richard Thomas, who is a kidney recipient. He and his wife participated in a living kidney exchange program. And so his wife gave up a kidney so he could receive a kidney. And so we're highlighting their story, and he's performing. We've got some children's choirs, a Japanese quartet out of Detroit. We have other testimonials, praise dancers, spoken word. I mean, it is the event that weekend for sure.
And Miss Wong Allen, you're also sharing your story about CJ, your son, who saved 5 lives.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us more about CJ.
First, he was my only child. He was my best friend. He was just everything to me. He was an amazing son, an awesome friend. He was always smiling. He was always a happy person, to the point where I did not see depression. He was a loving person. He loved kids, and kids were so drawn to him that when he was in school, he wanted to become a pediatrician. But as he got older, his passion changed, which, as parents, we have to allow our kids to make their decision. So he decided he wanted to become a UPS driver, because his objective was to not just settle as a driver, but to become a pilot for UPS. He had the drive, he had the ambition.
And he made sure
but
that
most of all,
he
I'm
made
sorry,
sure
go
that
ahead.
he made sure that you knew he wanted to also give the gift of life if in the event that he, departed from this world.
Actually, he didn't.
No?
I made that choice.
Okay. And so is that something that you want to encourage other families to talk about?
Most definitely, yes.
And you're pretty sure that, he would have wanted this. He would have wanted you to do this for him, and that's something that other families need to talk about so that they can save more people.
Yes, because he was a giving person.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise myself. So I know that that is what he would have wanted if he had a choice.
How has this been, helpful for you and your family to work alongside with Kia and others who've been involved in donation and, celebrating the lives of their loved ones who passed?
It has helped me in more ways than one, but mainly the fact that I can celebrate the fact that he gave life. So he not just lives on in others, but because of him, others were given the gift of life.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, there's no better gift than to give someone the opportunity to live or to have a better opportunity in life, a
Mm-hmm.
better quality of life, I should say.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing more about your story, CJ's story, and others at the Gift of Gospel coming up on Sunday, November 10th. And you can follow that QR code to get more about the free tickets from Eventbrite. And we'll also be posting this information as well on clickorlando.com and Facebook. Kia and Miss Anne-Marie, thank you so much for sharing some time with us this morning about this wonderful event. And hopefully more people will get registered to give the gift of life and talk to their family members as well.
Thank you, Bridgett.
All right, take care. Hope to see you again soon.
You too.
And so that is going to do it for us this morning. And we also want to encourage you, if you or someone you know is struggling, we want to tell you about the Crisis Lifeline. That's 988. Always remember that, share that, and save it. If you or someone you know is going through, problems with mental health issues or depression, that number is 988. Well, that will do it for us this morning. And we'll be back again at 7:30 for Friday's edition of Breakfast. I won't be here, but we'll see you soon. I'll see you again later today at noon as well. Take care.